Do you want to bring them up? Can you hear us?
Are we on?
Yes!
Hey! Hello.
Hi, I want Liz to keep telling her story because I love Liz and I love Kate and I love the C-Team. Hello.
Yay! It's Trin and Jenn. Jenn, can you hear us? Yay!
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh.
You guys are so cute. Aww. Can we just screenshot this for my computer at home?
This can just be your background forever and ever.
You can pretend that you're always in a conversation, but they're not talking at all.
Yeah. We're just staring at each other lovingly.
They're such good listeners.
There it is. Perfect. Screen grab right there. How are you two doing this morning? I guess it may not be morning where you are, though.
It is a little afternoon here, and I am great.
Yay!
It is noon 15, and I've actually been awake since 6:30 in the morning, so I'm a little bit sleepy.
Madness. I mean, I've also been awake since about 5 in the morning, so...
I shouldn't complain to you guys, yeah.
It is a competition. I want it to be competition. Hey, for anybody who doesn't know, we have Jenn and we have Trin here with us. Would you two like to take a second to let people know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, hit it, Trin.
Oh, okay. I was going to say hit it, Jenn. So, anyway. But, yeah, no, Jenn and I both work at Cards Against Humanity. I'm the director of events, and Jenn is in charge of our community and customer service teams. And then we also have a podcast about friendship, and we give friendship advice called Friendshipping. And it's the light of our lives, and the cream in our coffee, and the nuts in our fudge, and we love it.
Awesome. That's super cool. And I just want to mention it right off the top that near the end of the call, we are going to do a donation drive for one of the boxes of Friendshipping postcards, which is super exciting. So we'll get to that near the end, but we did ask our chat for a whole bunch of friendship-related questions. So I hope you two are ready to give the advice that you terrifically always do, which is, I think, a sentence. I think that's a sentence. Ferret Badger 84 says, how do you recommend making friends at college?
Jenn, this is all you because you've got your cafeteria stories.
Oh, man. Okay, so when you are in college and you live on a college campus, you have to do something that I never did, which is try. Try to make friends. And that means you have to do the weird stuff, and it means you have to join the clubs, and you have to go to the improv events. You have to do all the stuff that you think is too stupid and makes you feel like you're awkward. But you do have to do those things, and that's how you meet your fellow weirdos.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to add to that I want to give some friendship advice that we give to people who are not in college, which is to do volunteer work. Volunteering is one of the best ways to meet people who share your same values and your same interests. I've made most of my friends volunteering at conventions or volunteering at paws, walking dogs and stuff. You guys are so cute, just like raising your hands where you've made friends volunteering. Angels.
Anyway. They're an example.
They've all made friends on their weird bus trip, so get on a bus, guys.
Well, there we go. Jim Rabbit, first off, thank you. I don't want to go into too much detail in this format, but after starting to listen to you after your call-in last year, your podcast improved my friendship game so much and so quickly that it made some of my friends suspicious.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. And now my question itself. I have a friend that is in dire financial straits right now. While I'm more than happy to help out, essentially she takes half my paycheck, and I do not make that much. I'm currently living at home with my parents, so I don't have to worry about rent, but helping her means I may not be able to move out. And I do turn 30 this week. While I need to take care of myself, I may be the only one keeping her alive while she couch surfs and tries to put her life back on track. How do I help her while still ensuring I am not living for her?
Jeez, way to softball these questions.
Yeah. They're the experts.
If I started off?
Please do.
Okay, so one of the common pieces of advice that we usually start out some questions with is if you are changing a situation that your friend is accustomed to, then you have to be really sensitive to the fact that you're changing things. So the friend in the situation is accustomed to this being okay. They probably think that everything is fine and that, oh, they don't have rent to pay. Oh, they're fine. They probably think that they're not doing the wrong thing by accepting half of the paycheck. So I think that the first step is to make really clear that this is actually really hard, because your friends don't want to burden you. They want to know what your boundaries are. It is a kindness to let people know what you need. And it seems that this is starting with the friend, so the asker not being super clear that this is difficult for them. So that's where I would start the conversation. Honestly, I think we need a little more information about what's happening, just because we don't want anybody living on the street. Couch surfing is not ideal, but being in on the gutter is way worse. But there are lots of resources that you can point your friend to that are not you, because ultimately when you're an adult, you are mom and dad for yourself. You are putting your life together, and you can't spread yourself that thin. So start with a conversation, and then I would say move from there and find professional resources for that friend.
That's a good point. Wow.
I think that's great, Trin. I think your friend only has half the story. They only have half the story about what like Trin said, they're accustomed to a certain scenario, and now it's time to enlighten them to the entire story, which is circumstances have to change, and you can still be there and support your friend even without giving them this amount.
Yep.
Great.
They're good.
They are good, aren't they?
Gosh.
Maybe we'll circle back to softball, because there's quite a few in here that are just like silly, like how do friendship. But I mean there's a question there at its core, which is just like really basic friendship advice for somebody who's just like maybe just finally coming out of their shell, or finally trying to get out there and meet people. What is your just like basic entry level 101 friendshiping advice?
Oh yeah, we can. Jen, do you want to hit it, or should I hit it?
I'll start, and then and then I'll throw it to you. Got it?
Sounds great. I'm ready.
Okay. So the advice we give every time we get a question like this, which is fairly often, which should tell you how common it is that people don't have skill sets of how to meet people. It is very common. We always advocate for small talk, even though small talk sucks and it feels very clumsy and you feel awkward when you do it. Small talk is a very necessary step into setting boundaries with people and understanding what people are willing to talk about. So even though if you walk into a room and you don't know any person, you probably are going to have to be the one that introduces yourself and asks, how do you know the host? What do you like to do in your spare time? You're going to have to ask the questions that make you feel weird, but they are a very important place to start.
I love that, Jen, especially when you touched on boundaries. So to bounce off of the small talk thing, one piece of advice that I think Pat Rothfuss gave us was so don't have the third date conversation with somebody on the first date. So we totally get. People don't like small talk. They don't. But if you're asking intimate questions to somebody when you first meet them, that can be extremely off-putting, and it can get you off of the wrong foot. I mean, obviously, we've all been to that weird bonfire party where you're all like, having a little drink and like you're really chill and you're talking about your mom issues and your dad is like. And that happens to lots of people, but that's very rare, so you shouldn't count on that. The second piece of advice that I would give is the boundary setting. And we talked about that in the first question a little bit. But if you are not a hugger, you got to tell your friends you're not a hugger. If you don't love when people talk about money or their jobs, then you need to say something. Trust that your friends care enough to make you feel comfortable, and just start those boundaries right away. Because what we've found as we've done this podcast is that the biggest source of conflict in somebody's friendships are a sense of obligation and a sense of not knowing where the lines are. So start those early.
Great. You both give a lot of advice. What piece of advice do you give out that you find the most hardest to live by?
Oh God, all of it.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, please. Yeah. It's very hard being a human. Being a human is a lot of energy, and it's a lot of making mistakes, and it's a lot of accidentally making people feel crummy. So I would, actually, you know what? The hardest piece of information that we give to people for me to really internalize is self-forgiveness. I think that we all stay up late at night thinking about that time when we were 14 and we said that really dumb thing and the class laughed. Like, you need to forgive yourself, because otherwise you'll never keep learning.
All right. I've got here a comment more than a question. I just want Trin to know the D&D character I named after her now has the power to destroy the world with their traditional drums.
Oh my god! I remember when they tweeted that at me. Oh god, that wasn't that long ago. This was maybe a couple months ago, and that was probably the single most important moment of my life. Somebody told me they named their D&D character with me. What an honor! Anyway, I'm delighted. Please keep beating that drum.
Dear Jenn and Trin, a couple in our circle of friends has an 8-year-old son. They are the only pair in our circle that has a child. When we host get-togethers for the whole group, they usually bring their son along because babysitters are expensive. Their son is obsessed with my husband and monopolizes him for the entire evening every time. My husband is good with kids and usually doesn't mind giving the couple a break from their duties of childcare, but he also does not want to be responsible for their son every time they come over. Is there a classy way to schedule some adult-only gatherings without excluding them due to the financial burdens of childcare, or is there another better way to handle this situation?
This is rough.
Woof. Yeah, this is particularly rough because they rightly pointed out that childcare is very expensive. Parenthood is, it can be a source of drama and friendships. It can be hard. It can absolutely be worked around. But the thing is that you have to approach the problem from the side of you need to help the parents, because the parents are the people who are disadvantaged in this situation, because they, again, like the first question, they think that the situation is fine. They think that everybody likes this and that this is okay, and they're probably thrilled that they have a group of people that they can hang out with and bring their kid. So like this sucks ultimately. Jen, do you have any ideas? Because I really don't know.
I kind of think I have an idea. I have an idea, and I want to know what you think about this, Trin. Okay,
Sure.
What if you can quietly recruit some of your other friends in the group to help you with this?
Yeah.
Like, you go to another friend and be like, hey, can you, when 8-year-old, let's name the 8-year-old. What should we name him?
Heather.
Okay, we'll name him Heather. So can you go to your friend and be like, hey, when Heather is really, really hanging on my husband, do you think you could help with that a little bit? Like maybe give him some space to breathe? Trin, what do you think about this? I don't want it to come across as like gossiping or like you're forming a plan against your parents, but what you're trying to do is make it easier on everyone.
I actually really agree with that, Jen, because what you're doing is you're trying to solve the problem without overburdening the parents who, again, as we stated earlier, are the people who are kind of disadvantaged in this situation. Like they have less time and they have less resources because they've got more people on their squad. So I totally agree. Just see if you can bring over some of your old toys from your parents' house. Get that kid some freaking Legos. If they have something that can occupy their time, put on a movie, put on Frozen. Kids love Frozen for whatever reason.
Okay, there's the answer. Frozen. Frozen is the answer. Beatrix Plotter asks, hi, I love your podcast. I found it at Desert Bus last year, and now I listen every week. I have a question about having friends online. I have a lot of friends that I only see once or twice a year at conventions, but I only communicate within a group chat otherwise. Do you have any advice on being a good friend online?
Oh, I love this.
Jen, I feel like I've been monopolizing the question. So you have many online friends and your Harry Potter fandom friends too. So
Oh, hey, don't out me on this show.
this is a safe space, Jen, a very safe space for Harry Potter nerds.
That's true. Well, one thing Trin and I like to say on our show is that online friendships are absolutely real friendships, and it sounds like you know that, so I'm glad. And a lot of the people that I know through Desert Bus, I've only met once, or maybe not at all, which is amazing. But being a good friend online, I kind of think it's not that different from being a good friend in person. It's just you have an opportunity to edit yourself, which I think is very cool. That's probably why I have so many friendships, because I don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing, like off the cuff. Instead, I can like reread my words.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of the best things about online friendship is that they see what you're comfortable with. And I think a lot of people view online friendships as being fake because of that. And I disagree. I think your ability to edit makes you have the advantage of being able to be very clear about what you actually mean. Because there's this space between thinking about what you'd like to say, and then when it comes out of your mouth, that's where it gets a little screwy. So I think maybe the first piece of advice is to treat them like real friendships, which they are.
Ooh, Trey, maybe we should talk about how awkward it can be when you meet your online friends in real life for the first time.
Yes.
Oh
please
yeah,
do.
you can smell them for the first time, and that's always weird.
They might be way shorter than you thought.
And it's fine. It's just like, oh gosh, I could crush them. That's weird.
Yeah, speaking of which, don't hug without explicit permission. Don't assume anyone wants to hug.
Right. And don't assume that the closeness that you had online necessarily translates directly into the meet space. They are two different spaces, and they have different rules and different pitfalls, and just treat them accordingly. Go very, very slow, and then ramp up as necessary, but keep your ears open and listen. Listening is the number one thing you need to do when you meet online friends for the first time.
Awesome. We talked about sort of baseline making new friends. Do you have any baseline ending friendships?
Whoa.
Oh man, I've had to do this a couple of times. First of all, don't do it while you're at a party and you're drinking and you're in a bad mood, because that's what I did.
Don't do that.
No, that didn't go well for anybody. So first of all, plan out your plan of, I almost said plan of attack, but the truth is you're not attacking anybody. You are making new boundaries, and the new boundaries are, we're not going to do the calling on the phone thing. We're not going to do the coffee thing. I would say start with the soft no, right, Jen? I mean, you don't want to go right into, like, this is a full-on conversation. We're breaking up. Like, it's not you, it's me.
Right.
But the soft no is something we talk about a lot on the podcast, which is don't return the texts, or maybe do one-word responses to texts. And if they ask you if something's wrong, then tell them the truth, that something is wrong and you feel a little bit distant from them lately and you're comfortable with that. And recognize that this is never going to be easy or comfortable. It's never going to be fun. You're not going to have a good time in this conversation, and you will feel awkward for a couple of days after. But ultimately, removing some people from your life is a really good move as an adult. And you won't be able to keep up with every single friendship anyway. Most friendships really end just due to conflicting schedules or conflicting interests or just different life paths. And they'll end naturally that way. But removing like a toxic friend from your life, I feel like that's a different story, and that's something you want to like write out an outline for yourself before you go into.
Agreed. I think when it comes to whether it's a toxic friendship or a friendship that just is time to wind down, my piece of advice is always to use I statements, which is like starting a sentence with the word I, like I feel, I know, or I'm hurt, because you really can't argue with that. No one is allowed to debate what you feel or if you've been hurt.
Okay.
Damn right.
Cool.
Darn right.
Damn's fine. You're good.
Okay, good. I'm
I
being
hope
very
so.
careful.
Here's a fun one. Do you have any suggestions for free or very cheap presents for the holidays? I just moved from the Midwest to the Pacific Northwest, and I'm in grad school, so funds are really tight right now. But I care about all my friends and want to express how much I appreciate their emotional support while I'm away,
Aww.
which is adorable.
I love that.
Friendship postcards are
That's so good.
and they 80 postcards for $25. No, I'm not going to turn this into a commercial, but I do love the idea of sending something in the mail that is just like a handwritten note or drawing or something. Like, you really do not need to get gifts. You don't need to get a gift for your friends if money is tight.
I totally agree. I'm sending out my own like set of holiday cards this year. I think that one of the greatest, this is going to sound so cheesy, I'm going to try so hard to make this not sound cheesy, but one of the nicest things you can give somebody is to tell them very genuinely how you feel. I think that people take for granted that they feel very strongly about their friends, but there's no way that they care about me that much. There's no way that they think about these nice things that we've done for each other. Send a really nice letter. Send a really nice email. I think just being thankful and being really clear about why you care about somebody is just a really delightful thing to do for the holidays.
And who doesn't like getting stuff in the mail that isn't bills? Like,
Right?
Yeah.
And even if you are not an artist or an illustrator, and I am neither of those things, you should draw something, because what I like to give my friends is like something I call like a fridge moment, which is they take the thing and put it on the fridge. Like one time my friend, I overcame some anxiety over something, and my friend made me a little certificate that said, overcomer of anxiety. And then I, she printed it out, and it like looked really official, and I put it on my desk. So like you can make something silly and meaningful.
That's awesome.
That's really cute.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
A few people have actually asked if the postcards that you put out last year are available to buy. Is that a thing that people can
yeah,
do?
They are.
Yeah, they are. Awesome.
Where might we find
where
them?
should we find them?
At shippingpostcards.com.
Cool.
Wait, is it friendshipping postcards or friendship postcards?
Oh, shoot, Trin.
Let's double check.
Hold on, I'm gonna check
Google friendship postcards, Jenn and Trin. And
And
then
see
we'll
what comes
find
up. Hopefully you could buy them. I don't
Trin
know.
was right, it's friendship postcards.
Okay, good. You don't want to go to that other site because it's the off-brand that's just like mean postcards.
It's the crabs and just humidity of
Yeah.
postcards.
On April Fool's Day, we're gonna release a set of mean ones. Wouldn't that be funny?
Awesome.
That would be
Please do that. All right. I'm gonna finish this off before we get into the giveaway and talk about these postcards actually that we've been plugging with another hardball. You two ready?
Oh yeah.
All right. A few years back, I went through a bad breakup. Long story, won't bore you with it here, but a big part of the reason it hurt so much was that she was my best friend as well. Last week, she contacted me out of the blue wanting to apologize for the way she had ended things and was hoping that we could repair our friendship. We have good conversations, and it feels like old times, but I'm also having romantic feelings for her again, and us getting back together is kind of impossible now since we live several states away and she's seen someone else. I don't want to lose my friend again, but I also don't want to be hurt again. Do you have any advice on how I can better address those romantic feelings so I don't wind up hurting us both?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
this is
Softball.
about.
I said hardball. I said it was a hardball question.
Yeah, he set it up.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So the asker and the friend were friends, but then the asker's feelings, like romantic feelings, broke up the
No,
friendship. Did they say why?
No, it went.
They were together.
They were together, and then they
Oh.
broke up. And then she contacted him out of the blue saying that she wanted to apologize for the way things ending and was hoping that they could repair the friendship. But he's now
Right.
having more feelings than just a friendship and is wondering what to do.
Oh, I think Jen, if you want to go for it, but I feel like this is actually simple.
Yeah, I think this is a case where the person gave us the answer in the question, which is great for us and it makes us look smart. But I think this is very much a boundary setting time, and you got to take this slow, or maybe take it not at all when it comes to repairing this friendship. Because, I mean, you told us, man.
Yeah, you told us that your romantic feelings are stepping in the way of you guys being friends. So really think to yourself, what do you get out of putting yourself out there and being connected to this person that you want to smooch on, but you can't? There are lots of wonderful people who will be friends with you. There are lots of people who will date you that aren't this person. It just feels like there's so much baggage going on here that even though you have this treasured shared history, it might not be worth moving on with this friendship in the future. I would recommend against it.
I would too. I think the energy you're putting into repairing and reconnecting with this friend and lover is better spent making new friends, honestly. I mean, you don't need to like shut this down completely, but I think you have to be really careful where you're putting your energy.
Right. I don't want you opening up Facebook and like seeing cute pictures of them and just like your heart breaking every time. Like just maybe do not do that to yourself. Do you guys want to see my cat? She just jumped up on me.
Yes!
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. She's so comfy and she's gonna be so mad about this. Cute. Okay. Sorry.
Wait. Do you want to see my dog?
Yes!
Joe just like
I think yes.
That's a good one.
Wait,
right there.
you switched away from the dog. There it is.
She loves you so much, Jen. I love that we have interspecies friendships in this world. Did you know that the capybara is basically the Jen of the animal kingdom and can be friends with basically anything? Like, Google it.
Uh,
Seen that, yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Joe is so perfect.
Jen, true story. I think apart from my dog, I see your dog about as much because you post so many photos and I love it. I don't think there's a
It's like not even attached to internet dogs.
Not yeah, I agree. So we were talking about.
Like I seriously, like, I want to cry too.
I
I'm
know.
so happy right now.
I haven't seen our doggy for 3 days.
Oh no!
I know. So we were talking about the postcards. Did you want to talk about them a little bit more? What was the reason behind them? What sparked that idea?
Oh, we wanted to come up with like a painless way to keep in touch with your friends. And we found out that postcards are really low effort and low energy because you don't even have to open them in the mail. You already have the nice message as soon as you see it.
It is
Yeah.
so easy.
We're both very fearful of sending our friends mail and them thinking it's like their student loan bill. So like envelopes are a no. They are a no from us. But yeah,
You don't have to write too much. You can just do a drawing. Like I think they're a sweet way to like let your friends know that you're thinking about them, and it's like a low burden. Like you don't have to reply either.
right. Most of the postcards are things like I'd say the two most common themes in the postcards are I'm sorry for whatever thing. And then, hey, it's really hard to be friends. Being a friend as an adult is really difficult, but I want you to know I still like you. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
they're the things that we say to our friends the most, really.
Great. And you were incredibly kind enough to send us 2. I believe they are supposed to arrive on Monday, I'm hoping.
That's what tracking says.
That's what tracking says. In the meantime, though, to show them off, I just brought in my own box.
James!
So the box that is currently sitting on the camera, which we can just show really quickly, has just a few of the safe for work postcards that are, or safe for bus postcards that are available in the pack. How many total are there again?
80.
80, and there's 2 of each?
Yeah, so there's 40 designs.
Yeah, 40 designs, 2 of each. No shortage of postcards to do. So what we were going to do, just before we ended the call and said goodbye, was start a donation drive for this box of lovely postcards.
Well, I actually had a question because I know that there are some artists that did these postcards that are friends of the show.
It's true.
Because I saw it looked like Chris Straub's stuff is on there.
Yep.
Yeah!
Welch
Can we do
isn't
some
there?
shout outs to
Please,
everybody who
please,
worked
please.
on it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So the artists were, and I'm going to start counting on my fingers so that I can make sure that I have everyone. Okay, so Maki Naro, who's incredible.
Yep.
And James T. Green, who's also incredible. And Kate Welsh, who additionally is incredible. And Lauren Gallagher, who does all the design for our podcast. And fourth person, incredible as well. Who else is in there? Bianca Idrovo. She's a calligrapher and letterer. You should follow her on Instagram. Fifth person who is incredible. And then Nick Trujillo, who is my cousin. Not like by blood, but just like by love. And he's incredible also.
And Patrick Rothus.
Yes,
I like our project so much that he offered to write 5 additional postcards with his friend.
Yeah, Tara Heller. She I think she was on the stream, I want to say, like not so long ago. But anyways, Tara and Pat wrote Chris Straub's set of cards, actually.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So normally with the donation drive, we pick a number, a very specific number between like $5 and $10, and we run it for about an hour, or maybe we'll say about 45 minutes here till 11:30. So is there a dollar amount between $5 and $10 that you two would like to see us put out there?
7? What do you think, Jen?
Oh, I was going to say 8, but
I mean, $7.08.
Perfect.
Perfection.
We did it. Perfect.
Yay! Team.
Friendship. So if you donate $7.08 or multiples thereof in the next 45 minutes up till 11:30 local time, which you can see in the top right corner, you will have a chance to win these lovely postcards, which you can check out a little bit more online at friendshippostcard.com. Is that what we said?
Yes.
Yes.
Friendship postcards.
Postcards.
There's more than one, James.
The website's down at
Yes.
the bottom of the screen.
Perfect. Friendshippostcards.com right down there
Oh,
at the
thank
bottom.
you. That's super nice of you.
So head over there and check them out. And thank you so much to both Jen and Trin for calling in.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for having us. And also, I wanted to give a shout out to you, James, because you helped us so much at the beginning when we were running our Kickstarter, and you were such a good friend, and you kind of like counseled me through it when I was like up at 3 a.m. trying to edit our Kickstarter video. So
You're very welcome.
Aw, friends.
Friends.
Also, Liz, your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you. So does yours.
Thank you so much for calling in today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Yay.
I feel like a better person with them in my life.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, that was the phone call. I believe we actually